I mean, that machine is twice as fast.
You need to be talking into it if you can to get it as close as possible. Yeah, well, you just need to talk into it. 1, 2, 1. There you go. 1, 2, 1. Yeah, that's it.
So would you like it to
1, 2, 1. Go right. Yeah.
should value it?
Yeah.
One of them was the
Okay, fantastic. Occasionally
Do you remember having a transparent EGA?
It's always the ones that work So they told ich bin nicht there's some stuff which just has
Ich habe schon gehört, was ist
Ja, 20 Mann, also jetzt dann, ja. Wenn die vielleicht noch die Leute reinkommen, power supply for the moment. Would you like to get it? I can give it to you.
Yeah, I'll have the camera as well.
What is this? Is this a QL?
Never had a QL.
Never had. Missed something. But not for games.
Right, well, I'm going to come back and do this talk. I'm going to grab a drink, grab a cigarette.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's continue now. Our friend Urs König from Switzerland come here to show us some parts of his collection, and I guess for any collector, and not only for collectors, it will be very interesting. So, now it's your turn, Urs.
Thank you, Thomas. Hi, everybody. I came a long way from Switzerland yesterday afternoon with the airplane. First time in Cambridge. For a few years not have been in the UK, so it's a pleasure to be here. My session is the Sinclair story, so this is something you could not win, so it's an endless story, so I pick up just elements out of it. A few words about me. I'm a Sinclair addict and running the SinclairQL.net website. And I'm also running for more than 10 years a YouTube channel called QLvsJAGUAR. And some reasons behind. So next year I will turn 50, so I'm almost the same age as the Oliver twins. And I grew up with Sinclair home computers and Atari video games in the 80s. And I continued in a strict way, so for computing it was Sinclair and then PCs, and for gaming it was Atari up to the Jaguar, which was then end of the road. And so those two childhood memories became a hobby after a few years, and that's why I'm running those sites. Okay, to tell the Sinclair story today, I have no slides, no single PowerPoint, maybe 1 or 2 photographs, the rest is live. Never did this before like that. All I have with me is this ancient briefcase, and this is not a fake. I have this since more than 30 years in exactly with those stickers. Those were original retail stickers. I put them on, and this briefcase came with me through my whole IT career. Nowadays I don't use it anymore, but for the retro computing stuff. It's quite heavy, it's about 8 kilograms, and it has papers inside and Sinclair artefacts. So, open the briefcase, and this is the presentation for the next few minutes. I don't know how long it will take. In addition, on the table I have some bubble plastic. This is a Sinclair computer. This also most likely is a Sinclair computer. And this is a third one. Yesterday at check-in they asked, do you have computers with you? I said yes, and I should not have told that much because it was a huge security check, because some of the stuff here has lithium batteries in it, so it was not that easy, but I have here everything and all good. Okay, let's start. About the Sinclair story, I better give you a hint, so you should read some books, then you know everything. That's the good book, The Sinclair Story by Rodney Dale. Rodney Dale is a friend of Sir Clive Sinclair. He was with him since the beginning, and the book was written, I think, 1985, published the same year or the year later, and gives you a good view how it was, the Sinclair story was viewed at that time, mid-80s. Today you would write it differently. There is another book called Sinclair and Sunrise Technology, published a few months later, much more critical. You see that the authors were not good friends of Sir Clive, but from the journalistic point of view also a very good read. You should go through it and make your mind about the information you get out of those two books. Then there is a book with the Sinclair story which doesn't look like it has a story in it. It's called Sinclair Database, and it has 2 chapters. One is about Sinclair products, a catalog of games and peripherals, but the second part of the book is very interesting. It's really the Sinclair story written by the authors, and you should have those 3 stories in your mind and then get the truth out of it. It's not that easy. And the database book was even translated to German. My mother tongue is Swiss German, and it's exactly the same book translated to our language. So, the last book you should read, especially when you're interested in the Sinclair QL, is the Sinclair User Annual 1985. It has a large chapter about the QL story, but it's the early days stories until the first heating problems and the introduction in the UK market. So all what's there I will not tell you right now, but I will use the artifacts and the screwdriver and a webcam to tell you some stories. So this bunch of paper is from my personal collection. Most of those papers I do only own for 2 to 3 years. There was a sad moment, was the input for this. A UK-based collector, Enrico Tedeschi, located in Brighton, died. And his family member, his son, his daughter, his wife, were selling off the collection. He was running a museum in Brighton. I never visited that museum. I had some email contact with him, and later on also with his family members, and was able to buy for a high amount of money several goods of that collection, including some paperworks. And I tried to start the Sinclair story with, I take it out of the plastic. There were really original documents, like the balance sheet as at April 30th, 1970s of Sinclair Radionics. So very unique papers, sometimes photocopies, but I believe even those are the single copy existing on Earth. And you see, compared to today's bookkeeping, how simple the whole thing was. On one piece of paper you had the whole balance sheet of a company. I will not show every single paper, otherwise it's 8 o'clock in the evening, but also some handwritten memos, like to Clive from Rodney, that is the author of the book. The thing continues like that. I will just, from the early days, show some more to show you how simple compared to, you know, Apple launched the iPhone 8 and X. And when they do a production planning with China and Taiwan, this might be a very complex story. At Sinclair, that has been much more easier. There was just one piece of paper with the months and the models and how many to be produced. I think in thousands. Like 3 means of the model executive, 3,000 in that month. Very simple organization. It was a small company, even at that point, only a few dozens of employees. So from the early days, I have about 50 papers, which and that's the good thing for you, I really plan to scan them and to produce a PDF, a searchable PDF, and put on my website. I already have quite a few unique Sinclair papers on my website, mainly from the computing age, like the employee dictionary with photographs and employee stories. But it will continue with that one. Problem is only a little bit of time. The good point is I bought a new all-in-one HP machine, which is scanner and color laser printer, which has an automatic document folder and can have double-side scans. So this makes things more easy. Okay, next is about, let's enter the computing stage. Okay, no, go back, I forgot. Calculators, even you have nice calculators here in the museum. I bought one also from Tedeschi family, which is the Sinclair Cambridge memory. I brought this one with me because the name matches perfect to our location. And when you take it out, that's the point I wanted to give you today. That's why with the camera. This is really a beauty.
Does it still work?
I tried a minute ago, it's supposed not to work.
Oh.
I entered brand new batteries, and you see made in England, not even made in the UK. Early Sinclair products were really proud of the land where they have been produced. And even it's not working, and it's fully made of plastic. When you open it, I think it's, you know, it's 40 plus years old and it's pristine condition. And this one has been designed in the early days, Sinclair Radionics, but when you compare it, for example, to an Apple product, and for me this is, each Apple product launch is like a comedy, because it's a déjà vu. We have already seen this decades before when Sir Clive was standing in front of the crowd. And even the measurements and the roundings, I have to do in my day job a lot to do with industrial design, so you could say it's the same team. This is the iPod U2 edition, which is maybe 10 years old, and they match like two cousins. Talking of Apple and design, this is the black watch of Sinclair. And also when you look at the package design with this black, white and red, you feel like it's an early iPhone. The iPhone 3 had the same color scheme for the packaging. And who remembers the first iPhone when you opened the box, like the packaging was really nice? But Sinclair did it 40 years ago. This is, I don't know how the material is being told in English.
Velvet?
Velvet, yes, velvet. Velvet with a silver border, and here it's silk inside, and then you take the product out. So give you a better view. It's really gorgeous. Okay. Problem with this clock, it's not working anymore. John Cleese used to say this parrot is dead. It's really dead. I opened it and all the electronics are gone by, you know, they are no more. Dead. Okay. So those were the early days, and then came Sinclair Research. And I will have a computer here. Let's see if I have something in the box. No. This is a ZX81, and one would think it's a regular one sold in millions, but this is a special unit. And that's why I'm here to tell you there's a Sinclair story out of the UK. You know, in Europe and all over the world, the Sinclair standing was different. It was not that household name. It was a name under many. Commodore, Atari, Amstrad, Schneider were selling more computers. But Sinclair had quite a good standing, and I don't know how, but when you bought an Audi, some months in a year, you got a free present, a ZX81 with an engraved Audi logo as a present. And I think Jim would like this, never seen before. This is really special, and you see the warranty seals are in German, like Achtung. And also this Sinclair guarantee, you know, we write it differently at the end. It's the warranty sticker. And it's a nice unit. It's the only one I have ever seen, and I'm still looking for the advertisement material from Audi, but it's hard to find 40 years after the launch. For me, the whole thing with the 81 started differently. It started by mail-over. We had a German company in Munich called Jürgen Schumpich. He was the company importing the Sinclair goods to Germany for many years. And by mail order, when I was about 13 years old, I bought 81. And those are the original prints I had in my parents' house, where I opened the box, and like it's an unboxing on YouTube, the same. So I invented YouTube unboxing. And this is my grandfather's workbench, where I soldered this 81 computer. I was still at secondary school, no soldering experience. I did some light shows for the discotheques in the school, but not more. Never with integrated circuits. The thing worked at the end. And you cannot imagine what that meant for my professional life. So I built my own computer. That's really great memories. Okay, where to continue? I have a folder with all the original press releases of Sinclair Research. They were given to me on a loan from Bill Nichols, the marketing director of Sinclair Research. I promised him to scan all of them and make them public. But, you know, job as a COO in an international company, family, different hobbies, time is endless. But at least I'm sharing it with you. So I did not find this anywhere, not on World of Sinclair, nowhere, because they were not giving to the users, they were only giving to press. So this is really the press information, which when you read it, you get tears. You know what it matches with what the brother said before. The gaming is not in the press release. And there were additional sheets about technical information, and even the tiniest spec were glorified. That's the nice thing about the 80s. And then there was a software announcement the same day, and we know all about those software announcements. Until you get the software, it takes some time, like a biorhythmic program or a calculator, database. Okay, you see a flight simulation and backgammon. Okay, halfway.
No proper games.
Yeah, that's not proper games. That's leisure and to strengthen your mind. Then came the Spectrum, and from the Spectrum decade I have an envelope with the stamps signed by Clive. Those you can easily get on eBay, there are quite a few. But for me this is special because it's the 1982 information technology year. Then again from Tedeschi's, and I missed the important one, is the original photograph at the launch. And you see Clive, and not sure if this is John Murchison, most likely.
Yes, it is.
And really with a big smile, and he did a huge career in the US later. He was one of the designers of the Atari Jaguar, now works for NVIDIA in the tech department as a mid-tier manager. And other nice pictures, like here, UK residents must help me. Who's that guy?
Macmillan.
Macmillan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prime Minister about 57.
Yeah. Wow. This is really a picture, and this is the original print. Maybe there are some copies and some scans, but I can do a 2400 DPI high-res black and white scan, and then it's preserved. Assuming it's on the right server and it's backup, then the backup has been tested. Okay, you know, the Oliver twins did a good thing with their childhood memories like Terminator or Star Wars and stuff. Same true for Swiss kids, but one in addition, James Bond. You know, was a hero, and so this brochure with the flat screen TV and the British passport, this is somehow iconic. And I have the TV here. You can get it for $10 on eBay, but this is not the same model as you can buy. This is the international model, and you clearly can see that here you have an empty spot below the LCD, and this one has a band selector here. I never have seen another one in physical existence, and it took me more than 10 years to get one. I search every single eBay auction, look at the pictures. If there's no picture, send them a question, and in the end I could get it for the same amount of money. And this one is nice because it still has the battery inside, and that was the problem yesterday at the security check. Because you know, kids talking about lithium and Tesla and iPhone. Sinclair did it 40 years ago. Okay, the truth was you could watch maybe half an hour and then it had to go in trash, and maybe not in the regular trash but in the industrial one. So this unit also, most units you buy nowadays are not working. but at least they are great as a design icon for your shelf. And this is the TV story. Okay, I must organize myself a little bit, otherwise not enough space. Forgot to show you this one. It's a Spectrum. It's not that special. We have one in the museum. Maybe, and it has the regular keys. I assume it's not the gray keys, but it has an extremely low serial number. 745. Also a lucky found on eBay not many years ago from Andrew Blood, sold this for 20. So I don't know what the other collectors do, but I have good searches, permanent searches, and some of my spare time is to scan eBay if there is a good find.
Only 16K, right?
This is only the 16K version, and it's in pristine. Internally, it's like new. Outside, it's not that nice, but it's really a very nice unit, and it's definitely on one of my shelves. I have a lot of Spectrums, maybe 20. That's the only one on display. Good. Then there was okay. There's again bubbles. Inside is out of the production band of the ZX Spectrum Microdrive production. The PCB is still uncut and still not soldered. Even an edge is broken off here. You see the cables there. A few years ago there were some of those samples also on eBay, and some went pretty high, too high for me, but this one was available also, I think, below 50. And it's really nice to have a unit like that. Okay, it's a Spectrum event, but there is not only the Spectrum, there is other computers from the ZX range. And this looks like a mess. So you see there are some chips hanging, no expansion port. Somebody was really with a tool, he took it off. But the point, this is not the Sinclair QL motherboard. This is a Sinclair ZX83 motherboard. So all those rumors like there was no existing prototype, we can negotiate on the word working prototype, but at least there were prototypes, and with a good production documentation, week 50, 1983. So this was 3 or 4 weeks before the launch event in the Intercontinental in London. And you see it's really nice, Sinclair ZX83. And also on the back, and even the expansion port has been taken off. There would be the possibility to bring life back to this one, just make some missing links at the end and make, but I'm not electronics, you know. I can fix something simple like a capacitor, but not the complete port. And I got this from Tony Fierschmann, who did a lot of Sinclair repairs, and he got one time a lot of Sinclair parts from a guy in London, near Feltham, who had connection to the Torn EMI data tech, where the whole thing was produced. And most likely this was not coming from Cambridge, from Sinclair's offices, but even from London's office or from Torn EMI. And the picture I like very much is Clive with the QL. I own video footage of that event, but it's protected by copyright, so I cannot put it on my YouTube channel. I do some tricks like showing it in the back and filming myself, and then you have a 10 seconds glimpse. That's all the risk I take on me. That's otherwise it's not healthy for my money. Okay. Then came the Spectrum Plus, and we take the Spectrum Plus. It's good. I have a Spectrum Plus with me, and this is now the bad thing because it came out of the airport. It's fixable. It's not a real computer, it's a model. And you see it because the keys fell off and the keys, oops. Okay, keys fell off. There is no keyboard logic. So basically it's two pieces of hand molded plastic with some keys glued on. And you see other differences. If I remember well, the ZX Spectrum Plus normally is in red. This one is in white. Yeah. Oh, and on the back you see where you have the stands, a hole. And but all the screws are there, you know, even in front, hardly seeable. The openings are there, and from the back, power, expansion bus, the connection, everything is there.
So has it actually got a board inside it?
The screws are on. This came from Tedeschi's collection. The winning offer was £622 plus postage, plus Swiss custom, plus Swiss VAT. In the end, it cost in pounds about 800. I did not tell my wife. But I think it's worth it, because when you open it, it's really, it's beautiful. It's handmade model. And you see the plastic is white, and with this triangle you see that there was a metal triangle somewhere where they put it on and sprayed it. And I don't know why, I think the space was big enough for the motherboard, but they cut it in two pieces and only mounted the back part of it, which was good enough that all photographs will catch it enough. You don't have photographs which look too much in the inside. And the top part of it is also, it's quite heavy. It's much heavier than the original plastic case. And you see the same thing where they sprayed. I have a video on YouTube already of the unboxing, but it's not under that name, because the same day I get the next station prototype from the US, and this came first in the unboxing. But before the event I did another video which goes online in a couple of time. First need to fix the keys in the end. And for me also first time, those look like real keys. So they had already the keys, but not the real ones, because when you look, the character size is different. Even, you know, you all are all spec key guys, you know that there is, where it's the in key. You see the in key? Normally you have the E. Here they had a different writing, and the characters like the N is much bigger than on the original one. So this is really a nice piece. Good. It's empty. What else we have to tell? Yeah, I do the QL. That's a QL. You have one on display, which is the UK version. I checked with the museum on the website. They have a US version, but this is the German version. And from the top you see the different characters, like the umlauts. So this is maybe not the biggest difference, but when you turn it on, you know, I will write the book one day, the Sinclair story or the QL story. There are two fundamental mistakes which were the reason why the QL failed internationally. One were those PT plugs, off standard as hell. But for the German and American markets, they did it right. And the DSUP is what was standard and what works, and even the joystick ports are compatible with Atari and Commodore, and the serial, you can take a serial cable of today, it still works. I think only the handshaking was on a different place. And you know, looking back is not the right thing to say in tears how life could be or the world, but Sinclair found a very powerful manufacturer for the QL. It was David Carlin once told me that that was one of the first ODM deals for Samsung. They worked for Apple before, but and think when everything would have been going the right direction, Sinclair could be huge today. They had early connector with Samsung. There were Spectrums made there, Spectrum Plus and QL for Germany and US. And this QL is about 1 kilogram heavier than the UK version. I invite everyone to try afterwards. The reason why Samsung had to step in and not torn EMI were the regulations. You know, nowadays we have CE, but mid-80s there was nothing, and in the UK I assume there was really nothing. So a ZX81, you could put your radio beside and you can listen to the CPU. That was by law not allowed in Germany and the US. The US already had FCC, and the Germans had VDE and other regulations like RF and ENC. And the point is, and I need to open this one, that internally the QL is completely different. It's completely different from the UK-made QLs, and it's different from all the Spectrum you have ever opened. Because it has a silver sprayed plastic case to reduce or eliminate the RF. Can you see it? And the keyboard backplate is of real steel, not aluminium. And all the connection between case and metal parts were with metal, so that the RF part was much reduced. Even on the modulator you see a bendable metal piece, which on the top goes to a contact plate. And you see all the chips with capacitors on it and diodes. Early versions even had a piggyback board here. And when you talk about the PCB issues, the one known in the service manual, there were at least 7 more for US and German. Sometimes for every few hundred units they made a modification. And very late German QLs, not that one, they even would have different connectors on the motherboard for the Microdrive. Connectors like on a standard floppy disk. So Sinclair really had a learning curve in the QL, but it was all too late. And the small mistake of the QL was also one of the 10 mistakes which killed it, were the bad feeds on the ground which fell off. The international one were differently. They could not change the whole design, you know, because of space, but they are lockable on the case. So it's really a different piece of computer. And okay, the bad thing is AMSTRAD axed it almost exactly the day they bought over. They continued the Spectrum, but even the open orders in Korea were not fulfilled. There were one time that there secured information about 3,000 unfinished QLs in Korea which never left the country. I assume they were dumped one day. Okay, I hurry up. Next came the Spectrum 128. And I will not continue with the papers, but you see that I really have some gems like Sinclair Bulletin or the Willis Road Times, or there's even nice for Jeff what happened at Milton, I think. Internal and external publication. So I need a really good scan job on that one. And the second last item I will show you is this one. It's also not looking special. It's a regular Spectrum 128. But when you turn it on, there's something special. There is a label on it which is in German and has to do with RF radio frequency. And you see a second sticker from the factory. It's hard to get the focus. Okay. Okay, I will read it. 3301. The UK version was 3300 when you have a sticker. But still made with the same serial numbers, made by AB Electronics in Wales. And the big difference is in the inside. So, similar to the QL made by Samsung, for some reason Sinclair decided that the Spectrum 128, which was a year later, was made in the UK, in Wales, but with the same technology, like silver spray inside, metal plate for the keyboard, and I have two of those units. Inside again, silver sprayed, and the big difference, the RS232 is a D-sub. I asked Schomby, he's a big collector from Germany, about that. He said, never have seen, so I knew my units are very unique. And when you look at the motherboard version, it's a version 9. I think it's first time showed in the UK now, version 9. Date code 612. And behind the 9 there's another character. I thought it's a C. But to be sure, and I have not seen this until last week, but I wanted to know. And first time I took a screwdriver and removed the 2 screws, and so that it's a version 9G for German. Even the keyboard layout and the ROM is English. The technology fits German regulations. And you see that the case really has some kind of shielding inside. And it's, I don't know how many were made, but the special thing was when AMSTRAD took the plug from the QL, they continued with the 128. And I'm not sure what's written in the AMSTRAD story is fully correct, because they had not to re-engineer it for the +2. They had a fully working machines for 9 months from Spain and the UK, and they immediately shifted. So this one has an AMSTRAD chip week 20, which is only a couple of weeks after the takeover. So they continued to commission at AB, ordered in 10,000 Spectrum 128 until the silver version was ready. Okay, almost an hour. So that's the Sinclair story, and now the point is, I was never really good in gaming. I was better in programming, that's why I choose the QL to be my computer. Even nowadays it's true, when I play a game and I think I'm really good, my son does it for a day and he has better high score. And I'm quite a name in the QL scene and running there several things, including I'm writing the software environment, the runtime, think like a Linux Live edition for the QL for all platforms. And for that I do beta testing and integration. And this is the next QL.
No.
It's a FPGA based machine like the ZX Spectrum Next. It's developed in Germany
and it will be manufactured by one of my colleagues in the UK. We get the first batch of 20 in the beginning of November with blue PCBs. This is one of the few existing prototypes. The machine name is Q68, and that's where I spend most of my retro computing time. So wanted to show this and make a good link to the Spectrum Next discussions which will go on today. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Urs. That was very entertaining. I can imagine now everybody wants to check on eBay, maybe if maybe you find something rare, but I see no chance here already.
Times are gone. Times are mostly gone. The good things are gone, and people don't keep it on the market again.
Don't take them now, bad dreams, you know.
It's to protect my.
We will now have a small gap. The museum will now officially close. It means that the Spectrum 35 will continue, but no more regular visitors will come in. It also means that the arcade machines and other computers will be switched off. We will completely rebuild the main room, build there a stage where we will later the Spectrum 35, Spectrum Next presentations and go on. But it will be a gap of about 45 minutes. Here in this room we'll run a video from Kevin Toms. He sent over, Kevin wanted to have a talk here about a football manager, but he immigrated to Canada and he isn't allowed now to leave the country for 3 months, so he sent a video. And we have a few other things which will be just here, shown here or in the area. But the main room will be now closing, and after everything is prepared, it will be reopened and you can come in and the talks will continue. Okay, so now just take your time and see you later.
Sorry, I have 3 minutes. You have an IG.
You can into the entrance.
Yes, right.
I don't chat with you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's how it's I know what that is. I've heard about these with the 9-pin LED. Not very successful. Where did you get that? That actually come from Germany.
I know I was at school time, when I was at primary school and in my education. I found myself, I was in the office, in the books and selling them for friends. Connection to Germany, so I bought this directly from the German, from the official German. I have more, I have a few of them.
Are they the very beginnings of somewhere?
No, the very beginning is just magazine received the UK versions, but I think they were not allowed to sell. They had problems with QL to sell them as officially imported products. Like today, you see, so German has a strong regulation, not that strong as today. Ja, Funkentstehung,
It's so changed, hasn't it? When you look back at what they were
some
producing.
things you never have seen before.
Well, obviously I've been around 63,
It's a regular one, it's 1974. There were different versions, I think. That's nice, huh? when you compare to what the big company did.
I mean, I don't know which model it was, but
And you know, Rick went to the same college as Johnny Ives from Apple.
crowding around this thing and being a thing wonderment. And I don't think he particularly.
Have you got any more?
Not that money. Calculator is only, I have a measurement battery system.
Is this the current QLA that's had AMSTRAD name on?
Yeah, it's exactly this.
It's an old QLA.
You know, when they took over the contracts, they wanted their branding to cover that's all.
You press the button. That's just AMSTRAD showing the power and strength, the layout. The brand
You know,
the depth.
With sticks scrubbed off until
Here's a customer.
because you know,
You see,
we're
in
doing
the
it.
UK version, this is also not there. It's also only used for the noise, against the noise.
So it's actually a really, really nice material. It's worth having just because it's slightly nicer.
Yeah, the same is true for, you know, even you can put the UK ROM in it, the electronic design of the Samsung made QLs. It's a different machine.
Right, the Samsung Spectrum is really good. I've seen a Samsung QL. These diodes, is this some sort of address decoding?
Oh, that's, you know, that's the video chip, and the video signals on the back are without any shielding.
Buffering,
So
right.
this, the diode makes when you have a shortcut on it that the chip is not dying, or should not die.
So they're either are they connected up to 5 volts or something?
I think to ground or to somewhere, I'm not sure.
This is stop transients going straight into the chip. That's just a normal frontal relay.
No, they were not Ferrari, they were PlayStation.
Oh, it's the
ZX83 One, David Carling design. Also, Ferrari had this QLA technology with those gates.
Yes.
This is a different technology.
Actually bought Ferranti, so there are some rebranded.
No, it's the technology is completely different. I have an interview on my site with the chip designer.
So this is not current mode logic, it's not CDI, CML.
It's ASIC.
Yeah. Is it CMOS? Or is it bipolar?
I think it's CMOS.
Right.
Because the Ferrari is
That's all bipolar. That's based on current mode logic.
And the second chip here, the 8302, is made by NCR. And the mask, this one was easy to change because it's ASIC. It's a gate array. This isn't. So they had the mask was really drawn by Sydney. So each time there was a mask change, it was a lead time of few weeks. So this one is very buggy. So real-time clock is not properly working in the QL Microdrive, but they never changed it because the introduction of the market was already there.
So there's only one version of
There's
that
only
chip?
one version, and of those you have two versions, which only differ in the video signals and I think for the regulations US. But you can interchangeable.
Is it the timing of the video signal that's changed slightly?
Even the first one UK you can switch to US timing.
Oh, right.
There is a register where you can set it works.
65, 50, 5,
Yeah,
60.
lines and
The NCR one's interesting because Timex was making the Timex Sinclair 2068 SCLC, I think, on an NCR gate array process.
yeah, I checked the number. You have a factory number of NCR, which are the commissioning. They increment with each customer and order, and they are not that far away from other UK micros like Timex, and there were others. Not sure, Dragon or some others also.
I know the BBC had a load of
NCR stuff.
NCRs, that is French relays. I'll get a picture of the Timex.
I was a bit nervous.
But it's surface mount, so it's quite different.
Basically,
This one is that's all audio. They changed some.
what it was, the Z80 processor.
Did not have found the document which was about you. All the calculator stuff like even the traveling to the US, the travel plan, the flight plans, the meeting minutes with.
A bit more tricky.
There were some meeting minutes with.
I've got the chip.
but
Right, he said, where can I get the software?
Where to visit.
Don't worry about that. I've got that. I've got that because
Or supply from Mike.
Found like a guy
Where to come for each visit. Cupertino, Santa Clara, Houston to Texas, you know, for the calculators.
On the same EEPROM?
Or production planning is so easy. It's really, compared to today's mass production. On one sheet you have the full year, month and model and quantity. That's the way we do it. Or
basically flashed it, plugged it all in, put it up, it worked straight away, right, basically sent it back. Whilst he was doing that, I thought, right, I've got this
division algorithm, second trial. So the design was done on paper, you know?
So I wrote to the guy that had written the emulator and said,
Right, so basically what this will be about is if you multiply two numbers,
try,
do 8 times 3,
feed straight to the computer.
traditionally you have 3 registers.
Program called Audacity and stuff like that.
With the multiply, once you've used the
I
first
found some
digit,
information.
you don't need that space.
And so I recorded the tape onto PC.
So you put the
not that
answer,
hard
the first
to do
answer
that,
in there.
right?
So you just need 2 registers in one extra character.
Right,
So you get surrounding it.
byte of the program is an
So it meant that
A5,
you could
right?
use,
That's the code, there's hex
use
for it.
the extra
And the
memory.
wave signal for it looks like
So you
this,
could
right?
calculate
So the
Sinclair.
wave signal looked
Put
like
the
this.
Sinclair
And I expanded that by Audacity recording, went through it, and I found it unbelievable. So I spliced the recording at the right start point.
Because otherwise you need to store the operating
Tried
system.
loading it into this
That's why you
emulator.
did the first bit.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
And it worked. So,
So
it is.
You say eventually you're planning on putting all
now,
of these manuscripts on your website.
I've now got it all set up.
Yeah, you write it.
Well, I will when I get some time.
Most of the papers in this yellow one.
Yeah, I kind of slightly wish I'd ordered one in a way, but you know,
They are selling them on the next.
well, they are, you know, they're sold out, but I think well, they were when I checked.
Today, and
Oh,
I
well,
think
maybe
they
they
still
replenished. They were up there, but it was sold
Yeah,
out.
they're more expensive now
Yeah,
than
well,
they were on
it's
the
always the custom kind of replenished.
Yeah. But they're, I mean, they're now 330 quid, including the VAT, for an accelerated one. But it's quite a lot of money, really.
If you look at what you get. Yeah, it
It comes out as good as it looks. But I'm hoping that they might have one.
they'll totally have one. Well, they sent this one out today.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
So yeah, that's.
I like that everyone went for it.
Yeah.
Probably used to with
Because I please don't
Generally in the microtrade stuff. Because again, it's like I try to look for like a retro.
Jim, you're living in Cambridge?
Just go.
It's first visit. And arrived yesterday evening. It was a nice sunrise. So I went to Willis Road to the university. Make you know, with the smartphone, the selfie, the Sinclair building in the back. But there is a fence nowadays. There was an entry.
There's an engineer who works there now. It's the IT services for the university. There's an engineer who works there who's made a display cabinet, the history of the Spectrum. He has a small club. It's nice that I don't think he asked for this. He just did it. But it's very different now.
Yeah, it's different.
Well, they named the building. It's still the Sinclair building, but the university is actually still the best place because they're inspected. And most students don't know this.
Some young students were coming out. I asked them. They had really no clue what the building is about.
Well, he got a boot, but they didn't work. Eventually found it. Very simple as well. And then these are now my images that I sent to him. So that was
That was not
so I basically I wrote
It's inside there.
In the lab, if you come in the so this is there. We have zinc plates in the
Oh yeah, they left those.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they left those in. I don't think they actually do anything. More buildings were high, when the start slightly
Because after a while, on that buildings get so high. Yeah, well that's it. It's not technically correct. But back there, you didn't think, well,
The thing was here, the little monitor I had, old telly, I only had like a normal RF cable and maybe RF.
It's an internal one. They had a newsletter.
For the middle
Yeah, it's somewhere. What happened at the middle school hall? That was a field that was new research. The problem was how to link up the parts of the company. This was
Real colours.
with some humor. It's not everything for serious.
I was so just getting it was just so pleasing to like get it back. Well, did it take to do that?
Did you come to
This is a Spanish, Turkish newspaper with some advertisement. That's not special, but it was in the same. The whole thing was that there was. I think more important is what they wrote for internally. They received it and put it to the company. This was my first, as a trader, my company logo was somehow linked to Sinclair. This is my 1985 catalog. The point is, you know, then I started my own business, not official, no VAT, no. Nowadays I have a limited liability company with the same thing. This I run at the long-scale consulting, but I work as a COO in big tech, traveling to Taiwan, China, industrial. I do all what Sinclair did, all the learnings from the stories I try to avoid those mistakes. And then you already have the big time, because when you have this background, what can go wrong, you put in the testing, you make a planning, you do
they teach business similar to what they teach about but there's no magnetic computer environment based on power
and that's when I expanded out and you can't clip,
Did you get more stuff for this?
So,
I tried to bring the exclusive stuff here, but I have the C5, which has never been on the road. So all the metal parts are looking like like this metal plate.
cut off all the
You
rubbish.
turn it on, even the wheels, the rubber has those
That was like the end of
externals for the making of
so you
the
cut
rubber.
it off after those two moves.
It's a very nice.
Not the first
I have
time.
about 50 QLs,
Yeah, I do that.
1081, 20 Spectrum in different models. I have 20 QLs which are boxed brand new all stock,
Allowed you to
but I cannot bring it over my heart to sell them off.
loads of
Because I checked them, they are all different. You know, the QL has a build standard which was implemented by
eventually
honesty. You know, in the Spectrum they did a mod and the serial number build was the same. The QL it was prof. So when they changed the capacitor or made the hand wiring, it was +1. So the UK production went from D03, I don't know about 01, D02, I have one of those.
say basically
But,
safe to attack.
you know, that's one of the earliest QLs to D70 found in 1.5 years, 2 years. And at Samsung, you have 8 motherboard versions, but they did not increase the external. Those combinations you cannot sell off QLs because each one in the end is unique.
They were all sold
All sold, yeah.
No, they're not pre-developed.
No, that's the only. I have sold which were maybe not sold, but given to developers or newspapers.
Stuff like that, so I didn't show that all.
You said you were working on a version.
No, the QL operating system, you know the story would fill the evening.
But I, you know, because
It's more honest to be a perfect design than Linux. Linux Turbo learns a lot of that. But I say got bad influences from Intel-based technology and other Linux technology. Because he was not that an expert on the QDOS. But I went the same direction, and when you download my distribution and run it in an emulator, you think it's a next station or a modern Linux, but it's still the QDOS. Because this operating system is fully scalable.
What's the name of your...
I'm not in the kernel team. The kernel is there is a team, some Germans and so on, but I do the desktop and all the startup sequence above the kernel, like the large AutoXX script which checks target platform and then loads different drivers and sets up screen resolution and icons. It's a huge world.
And when you said you were working on the hardware,
That's the hardware version.
I'm hoping
The new one, they were different.
I think I heard about it. I've never actually
There is a forum called QL Forum, which is a rich matter of Sell My Reader. Also there are a few threads about that.
I'll read off SD card.
Thank you.
Yeah,
What I'm trying to do is get
and I wanted to, you know, that's like Sinclair coming home. So there was a chance to go to Cambridge to have some interested people for me to visit their old places. Baron of people last evening, been at the Sinclair building with you guys.
more reliable.
I'm sure this will happen again. 5 years later.
But I mean, it's really important.
Panasonic before they were Panasonic. When I there's no hits on the tapes or anything, just gently clean the head.
Yeah, and to really share the things when you store it in your box, then it's lead material.
Well, that ain't going to work.
Just remember, you get
Sinclair database.
This is it's quite hard to find, but I think there is a PDF available somewhere.
I've never heard, I've got the other two.
Because in the back, the first section you can draw. There is a good section like.
Excuse me, can I bring attention? We'd like to clear all the chairs out of this room. You're quite welcome to stay in the room. We need to move the chairs into the main auditorium. Thank you very much.
just
never heard of that.
yeah, we well done to this. Well, I'll see you in now.
It's not my mother tongue, but
You've got German. I tell you, your English is a lot better than my German.
okay, thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
But I really enjoyed that. It's a lot of memories for me in terms of, I'd forgotten about this device. And I remember the calculators as well, right from the, and the
International.
What we were going to do is design it for Annex, American Express.
Okay.
And they were going to do a mail launch. The mail launch was typically it take ages. Produce the information, give it to the mail, to the people that are going to distribute it, and then it's in the US until they've got the spare, and then they deliver it. So that normally takes about 3 or 4 months to go through. So we hadn't got the telly ready. And it's published the it went straight through. Nobody spotted the mistakes. So they printed it, went over to the post. When they got to the post office, they said the printer did it immediately. When they got to the post office, it's all right, you don't need to put it in the pile, just put it straight in the out tray.
Okay.
So 2 days instead of 4 months, everybody was emptying the annex for it wasn't ready. Yeah, they just went mad. And that was another Nelly.
Yeah.
But that's American
Yeah. And nowadays you don't have any more signal for them.
That's right.
So
No. That's in what you might call the so-called developed world.
okay.
But everywhere else, South America, although they're going digital in other places. But you have
It's great. I just really like hearing about old stuff and
All the details.
yeah, and like little things like you pointed out about how the Apple player, same rounded edges, and you didn't until you kind of set it.
When you take the Z88, the small one from Cambridge, I don't have it here. Yeah, and you compare it with the MacBooks of 15 years ago, the keyboard was exactly the same. Same measurements, same designs of the roundings. And
there you go. Yeah, no, but anyway, I just really appreciate you coming over. It's great.
Fascinating.
Is that designed by Clark?
It's supposed to be,
Is it print or just?
There were many of
He did go to that exhibition because I was there. I went to that and saw him.
Anyway, I hope you get your stuff back safely. You're sticking around the rest of the night, I assume?
I stay here
for
all
the
evening.
next thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you there somewhere, Jim, making it all run. That's Bill Nichols, John Matheson, don't know these two.
This would be like the Spectrum one.
Yeah. So that was St George's Day, presumably. Where was the launch, do you know?
Not by my name.
Oh, that was some hotel in London, just around the back of Oxford Street. But it will be awesome.
Oh yeah. That's ironic as well. Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's absolutely amazing, really, isn't it? And then, of course, with Mrs. Thatcher, I suppose.
with the spectrums for Japan that are on video.
With the Prime Minister of Japan.
Yes.
Yeah, Mrs. Thatcher.
Yeah.
John Mattison.
That's
and,
right, he's there.
Yeah.
That's nice as well.
So for me, it's not only Sinclair, because on the Atari side, when the Jaguar came, I was so motivated because for me it was the next generation Sinclair technology.
Yeah.
All those designers at Flair 2 were former Sinclair stuff. Maybe half a dozen.
Was that the QL launch?
That's a QL launch.
We'll stop spinning. So that has some of the story in as well, yeah?
It has a, you know, those are good books, but a third view is the back chapter here. Where it starts with Cirque Life and goes through the computing, only the computing part, month by month.
Somebody knows the real story here.
Yeah. Because when you're not the one, I was too young and in the wrong country, so first you read this and then you make your own mind when you touch goods and things. And once in the end, I forgot to show because lack of time. You know, when I started my own business in school to sell Sinclair products, it was printed, I printed them, you know, that costed a fortune on this paper, and I had really a menu like the products and then prices from software, and I photocopied that and gave it to the class members, and with that I financed my teenage age. Or then I was writing to Sinclair Research if I can become a distributor, and I get a standard letter without anything. But say in Switzerland you must go to the official one. And I kept it, it's still summer 85. And then I went, a few months later, I went to those and say I'm not happy with the price. Because Sinclair products were overpriced outside the UK. And Commodore was the same price as US, so we had a disadvantage. And it was on the typewriter of my father, I wrote him a letter to say if I can get a better price, and I said this is my target price. And I was maybe age of 17, you know? Brave young guy, asked for the target price. How many?
That's wonderful.
What I done was Enrico, yeah?
Yes, I spoke to him once, and there's a lovely group. That he did all the recorders on Sinclair.
Yeah, he took from all such papers.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, you know, the thing was not good ordered inside this yellow. And I think it was messed up.
Yeah.
So through the years it was not a folder like it was in Sinclair Research. That was the invitation, yeah, for the 128 invitation.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, very good.
Thank you. Yes. So the easiest is to go on my website, but I think we had contact before you were on LinkedIn as well.
That's right, yeah.
We exchanged for the alumni.
That's right, yes.
This is where I work as an employee. This is
a brand and retail solution.
we are a computing brand, like Apple is a consumer brand, but the products not go to as point of sale terminals to supermarkets. We are in there. We had a distributor once in the UK. You see some installations, but now we concentrate on continental Europe.
So where is Dar in
Near
Switzerland?
Zug.
Zug.
Yeah.
So near the lake, yeah?
But still, you know, then my...
Oh, those are nice. How do I get one of those?
This was the old one in that, you know, that no internet and short phone numbers.
Take a picture
That's
of
from the 80s.
it. Get them all.
You can have one, I have plenty. And this was unofficial company as a child, you know, no VAT, everything to the pocket.
Sure.
But this
Swiss star.
this is the company I really have, but I run low profile because I'm employed.
No, I understand. Can I take a picture of that?
Yeah, this will
All right, thank you. I've got somewhere, it's rare, in one of Clive's business cards from St Ives when they were in the mill there.
Yeah.
A very formal looking card. Somebody was selling them and I just saw it. And I think you outbid me on the units then.
But you know, the market on eBay is dry for exclusive goods.
Yes,
I think this year I just got 3 parts.
What you have to wait is for a recession, like in, I don't know, 2008-9, then everybody was on eBay and stuff appeared. But I didn't know about Rico, I knew he had to do well.
No, the family members started to sell off when he was still alive, but not with the core collection. You know, they were cleaning the house and you got regular stuff. Then I was with his son, I had real emails, long emails.
That was down in Hove, wasn't it? He had an exhibition, I think, at one stage in the engineering there.
That's possible. But the day he died, they started immediately. They had to. There's no renting that goes off. And
how many years ago was that?
He died maybe end of 2014. I got this in January 15.
Was Rick still there?
Yes, I'm in contact with him. He bought also some. We did also contact that we are not outbidding each other.
Yeah.
I wanted, there was a QL prototype or a design standard. No name of QL on it, but it had a 2 microdrive, flat screen TV, and a keyboard. But it was only a model. You know, when you not even moved keys, the keys were painted. And it looks like from the drawing.
The surprise was the LD ZX81. I think that's phenomenal. Samsung, and I share what you said. All the technology, a lot of what Apple and Audi was done by German pricing.
Yeah.
Ja, alles gut, alles gut.
So you could publish them.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Years ago, I'm rather a car constructed and probably pick up from one great part. They use the system.
Yes.
The flaps are all being stuck down. And it was from a guy working the sales tests now, he's getting shipped back in.
One nice eBay found Monday was a former employee of former EMI Data Tech from the factory. They were not stealing the parts. You know, when you have production quality, some parts get on the side, and sometimes no one takes track of them. So many people had their simple computers off the quality control. We had maybe 20 kilograms of bits and pieces, like QL motherboards which had a sticker on it, like one fell down and the PCB is somehow broken on the edge. Very nice stuff. Very nice stuff.
It's good, it still survives.
Yeah.
The other thing I've got, which in here, I've got a transparent microdrive.
It's in on exhibition one. You have as well.
I've got transparent microdrive.
The cartridge, yeah.
I've got those and okay, another
Nigel Searle, where is he now?
I have his email address if you're interested.
Yeah.
Nigel's around.
Still in Cambridge area. Yeah. That's a really good picture. Where is it? That would have been the tail end.
The 128, February 16, 86. February 86.
86, yeah, and that was the year Sinclair sold to AMSTRAD.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know when that was? When he sold?
Early April.
Early April. That's very iconic, that picture. I think that's just
So there's the mouse.
Phil was always sitting in the background doing
Jason,
Yes.
the press stuff.
you don't have a German QL in your collection.
I don't think we do. No, we've got the American one, which has got the same back as yours.
It's a donation to, I donate this to the museum.
Really?
Yeah. Really?
Wow.
The only thing not good is I put for remembering me a card in
They
it.
had that.
The keyboard membrane is not working, and somebody screwed a hole in the top to adjust the modulator.
Right,
But
I see.
with fluid plastic, this is repairable.
Yeah.
You put the sticker on top and from the back.
Yep.
And other than that, it's complete and in almost pristine color.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Yeah. I'll tell that guy over there, Adrian, over here. And Adrian will do a donation form, so it's all recorded and everything.
Whatever you like to do.
Yeah, so firstly, Urs is donating the German Sinclair Research. Also got the American one. Yeah, British, obviously, which is fantastic. Can we get a picture?
Yeah. We can do an official picture for the website for wherever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just do it once. This is the
I'm not even.
So, how did you come to these? I've been interested since I got the ZX81 back in the 80s. I've been kind of collecting it ever since. Go into the microphones.
Yeah, Jason as well.
They were wonderful.
Collected bits and pieces back then.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, how are we going to do this? So you get, put your hand. So we've got this hand. But I need that one. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been collecting various leaflets as well, but I mean, I haven't got any to that level. I've got a few press photos.
Come on.
Go on.
I didn't want to take it. What we then projected to you. That's fantastic.
For the that it's not lost, I put everything inside.
Yeah.
Before, and then I just give one screw, and the other screws are in this one.
Yeah.
That's the way I store them as well, because when you need to check something inside, 8 screws.
Yeah, absolutely.
Old school.
That's really fantastic. Very, very much indeed. That'll be
And then I think that's the actual.
Yeah, put it on display whenever it matches your agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. We asked Jeremy to do the donation. I'll catch up with you in a minute because I've got something to display next time. Really, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, great, fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks.
Don't have any cards, so
That's all right. I can't just email me. And just remind me of your name again.
it's Paul Farrell.
Paul Farrell. Right.
Yeah.
It's good to keep in contact with people that are really keen.
You'll find my website if you search.
Let me just home in on it, because I'll go home and then I'll think, why didn't I ask them to write it down?
I think you can skip the video because nobody.
How long have you been interested in?
Since 82, but
Stand up from the seat, you know.
Jim was here, Jim was
You can skip the video because nobody will stand up from
still
the
a
seat.
student at the time.
They sit inside.
Finished school.
No, it's funny on that anyway.
Yeah.
Thursday, can we come to an interview tomorrow?
I don't know.
And then we'll add a card. If you have
Yeah, probably.
If it's got sound out there.
No, there is no.
Yeah, you play the video.